Welcome to Boy Time Podcast. We're gonna get litty time, yeah. Oh, it's your Boy Time Podcast. Coming in with the slam dunk of a theme song.
Hi ho ho, it's me, Paul Thomas Anderson, back at it again with a new episode of the Boy Time Podcast. And as always, I'm joined by Babby. This is the big celebration episode. Yay! The Whist Week. The Boy Time Podcast end of the year review of games and movies. Not music. That's a separate video on the main channel that is going to be coming out soon, TM. So that's awesome. Yes. Probably within this week, I think.
It'll be sometime this week, so.
Yeah. Be on the lookout. Keep your eyes peeled. Follow our Twitter, because I'll post something on there about it when it comes out. So that's awesome. Best way to keep in contact with us and see a whole lot of very hilarious tweets that I write.
Ha ha ha.
Yes, everyone laughs. I have been trending a couple times, but it is not a big deal.
I haven't checked it in a while. I'm going to do that right now.
Oh, that's a good idea. So like I said, we're going to be going over our top games and movies of stuff that came out in 2021. Unless there's some stuff that came out in like December of 2020, but I don't think that applies to me.
Not to me either.
Okay.
So
okay.
That's
cool.
mostly for music stuff.
Yeah, but I don't remember what came out like Christmas of last year.
Yeah, I had to look stuff up just to make sure I was correct in my dates for this stuff, because I feel like the first half of the year and the second half of the year were like two completely different things.
For sure. Yeah, that's what was good about having my Letterboxd all set up, because then I could sort movies that I've watched by year 2021 of like the release dates, and that made it kind of easy. I'm sure I missed some, but that's fine. I got the big ones, I think. I actually ran out of room. I think we're planning on doing top 5 movies, top 5 games for both of us. I actually had to expand mine to a top 10 for movies, and I have some honorable mentions, because I just have too many G-dang movies I saw this year that I really enjoyed, that I felt like it would have been a disservice not to talk about them. But there are still some that I saw that I had to leave out, even of the honorable mention stuff. So my Letterboxd is linked in the description of the YouTube video if you're watching it on YouTube, or it is in the show description if you're listening on audio streaming services. So I write reviews whenever I watch a new movie. I think I only have 3 or 4 up since I started since I made the account. So if you're interested in knowing my thoughts on a movie before the podcast comes out, then there it is. It's there. Enough plugging. I feel like I've been plugging for the last 3 minutes. Also watch main channel videos. Our James Taylor one is not doing very
good. As expected.
Yes. Yeah. I thought it would have been funny for the intro of that video to say, "Welcome to the least popular Boy Time video ever." But I don't do intros. And I didn't pitch it to you.
I do that. I wasn't about to
Yeah, but you knew it was going to be true.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I just didn't want to show it,
Yeah. Even I think Black Star also had a really slow start.
Yeah.
But
any hip hop album before 2000 or slightly after, unless it's Kanye, is not going to do well.
Yeah.
Because I feel like reaction audiences are younger, so.
That's true. More people should know about Black Star.
No, for sure. And a lot of people do. It's just I don't think there's a reaction community out there that's seeking out that kind of stuff.
I suppose not really. It kind of speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you're listening and you're a big James Taylor fan, check out our video on Boy Time main channel. But without further ado, we can just jump right into it. Do you want to do games or movies first?
Does not matter.
Okay.
I think we usually do movies first and discussion, like our formatting.
Okay.
I don't know though. I don't take notes.
Okay. I guess something to note is that I actually, you know what? Before we jump into the list, I'll give the one bit of news that came out this week. It's been extremely slow, but that's actually good for what we're doing here today. But I did want to drop this just because there was a new trailer for Atlanta that came out. I didn't watch it, but it did give the release date for when the season 3 is going to start, and that is going to be March 24th.
Days ago.
Yeah, and it looks like they're following the Always Sunny format of doing 2 a week. So we're going to be getting 2 episodes of season 3 on March 24th.
I'm guessing that's next day Hulu.
I would imagine so, because it's the same network.
Yeah.
So that's epic. We have Ozark coming out in January. Got Atlanta in March. I don't know if there's any news on any of our other shows coming out. I don't know when Saul's coming out or anything like that. But we will be sure to keep you posted on all of that fun stuff as it is happening. But that is it for news. Not a lot has happened. And maybe it did, but I didn't write it, so it didn't happen, as I always say. Let's just jump right into movies. So I'll just kind of like breeze through my 10 through 6, because I know you only have 5, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just going to quickly go over everything that I had to bring up. Number 10 is Luca, Pixar's showing this year. It was pretty good. I haven't really thought about it much since I watched it when it came out on Disney Plus in, I think, June or July. But it was pretty heartwarming story like they usually do. But especially after Soul, it didn't really hit the same, But I think, visually very impressive as always. Although it looks like that Lightyear is going to knock everything else out of the water, which is kind of crazy for a stupid Buzz Lightyear origin story. But if you are interested in Pixar stuff and you haven't seen Luca yet, I mean, it's not going to let you down. It's a good Pixar movie. So there's that. My number 9, Last Night in Soho. The Edgar Wright movie that came out this year. I was pretty surprised that I put it this low, but I've seen a lot of great stuff this year, and I think I had everything from here on out is a 4 out of 5 for me, so it was like really hard to like narrow down where everything goes, but I think this thing, it does a lot of great things visually. The cinematography and lighting are all very impressive with that Edgar Wright kind of style to it. Very, very nice. The writing is, I wouldn't say predictable, but it's, it's not like a crazy written thing, but I don't think that's really Edgar Wright's style. He was definitely better when Simon Pegg was also co-writing these in the Cornetto trilogy, because I think they're pretty well balanced in their writing styles, and they could really make some great movies together. But Edgar Wright's writing is never really his strong suit. I think it's more the staging and like interesting scenarios. It's kind of what we got from like Baby Driver and now this one. So yeah, I would definitely I recommend everything on this list, obviously, So if you're into Edgar Wright and you somehow haven't seen this yet, then I would recommend it. Number 8, Dune. Dune is really freaking good. I knew nothing about it going in. I knew that the David Lynch one was a disaster, I think, putting it lightly. And so I was like, you know what, I'll check it out. I know it's like getting good reviews and stuff, and I was very impressed. I think I keep saying this, but it is visually striking. Denis Villeneuve does a lot of great work with CGI and creating sci-fi worlds that feel real and lived in. I know that there is a great amount of source material here that he based it on, but that not to discount his work on it at all. That being said, I think I will enjoy the second one a little bit more because this one is all set up, which is fine because you do need that, But when it comes to stuff like this, the first one, if it's like planned to be multiple, then the first one's just a lot of setup, unless it's like Fellowship of the Ring or something. But like, to get the Dark Knight, you got to get the Batman Begins, and that's okay. And, this movie is a great standalone movie, but there's a lot of exposition. So prepare for that. But they do kind of distract you with some very, very pretty desert scenes. So that's pretty fun. My number 7 is the Suicide Squad. I was pretty excited for this one. This was James Gunn's not attempt. I guess it is his attempt at a DC Suicide Squad movie, coming off the heels of Guardians of the Galaxy and the whole fiasco of getting kicked out of Marvel and then back in Marvel, and then now he has like 3 projects for Marvel or something. So he's made a DC movie, and I think it's pretty safe to say that this is maybe the best one after Joker. Although Joker is a little bit more derivative of old Scorsese character study stuff. But this one it's got that like Guardians of the Galaxy charm. That humor is there. It's actually funny, which is hardly ever the case in a DC movie, or really a comic book movie. I think James Gunn really kind of is in a lane of his own when it comes to stuff like that. But definitely check this one out. Safe to say it's better than the original Suicide Squad, so that's pretty epic. Number 6 is Pig, and I am very sad that this didn't make my top 5. I think Pig being my number 6 is the whole reason I wanted to do 10, because Pig is so flipping good. But there are some things that kind of hold it back for me. I did a whole review of Pig I think it was probably about a month ago at this point when I watched it. And it absolutely blew me away. I am not really a Nick Cage fan. I do enjoy one or two of his performances because they can be pretty funny, but I wouldn't consider him like a good actor. Until now, this is probably his best performance ever. And all of the performances in this movie are absolutely phenomenal. If you are interested in, I have no idea how even to describe this thing. It just is great, and it's on Hulu. It's like an hour and a half. I don't know if I would say it's accessible because it's a slow burn, even though it's only really short. But not a lot happens in it. But I think it's that perfect time where not a lot happens, but it's just very dense, and that's really cool to see. And that is my 10 through 6. Going to top 5 now. I'll take a break. Babby, you can give your number 5.
Okay. Honorable mention I have would probably be Judas and the Black Messiah.
Oh, okay.
We watched this a long time ago, so I don't remember much about it. But from what I do remember, it was pretty well made. Soundtrack's killer.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a little long for what it was, but again, going in depth and stuff was very interesting. I love those kind of more historically accurate films, modernized for today, and not like old westerns and crap. It's like stuff that's happened like in the past 50 years or 100 years.
Yeah.
But enjoyed that one. Number 5, I have Last Night in Soho.
Okay.
Pretty sick audio trickery that happens. Again, Edgar Wright cinematography is one of my favorites. I love the lighting and everything else. I had the pleasure of watching this in an empty theater, so I think it made it a lot better for me.
Yeah.
You get to sit in the best seat in the house because everything's available to you. So you get the sound like perfectly balanced. You get the screen right in front of you. But performances were pretty great. I kind of got a Get Out kind of feeling from it, where it's not like a horror movie in the sense that it's like, oh, jump scare, scary.
Yeah.
But more in the fact of like paranoia and psychological stuff, which is the horror that I like. And also like it's touching on societal issues as the horror, making it a real thing and not like some boogeyman.
Yeah.
Even though like those movies will personify it like they did with the ghosts and stuff here. But yeah, I think it was very tasteful. I loved like the special effect on the ghost faces where like you couldn't really recognize them, but then like they started getting more and more recognizable as the film went on. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, really enjoyed that one.
Epic. Yeah, I really enjoyed that one too. I just had it so low on the list because
you also have a bigger palette than me this year. I don't watch a lot this year. I have major like ADHD now when it comes to viewing things at home. So I have to go to the theater to watch a movie and like fully experience it.
For sure, and that takes time. So you gotta drive there. Yeah, that I'm the same way. I don't watch a whole lot of stuff.
Next year I'll probably be a lot better since I've only recently started going to the theater.
Yes. And I mean, there's gonna be some on here that you haven't seen.
There's gonna be a lot of ones next year that
I'll be sure to recommend you some stuff if you're gonna be going to the theater, because I'm probably gonna be going a lot next year, knowing what's coming.
Yeah. Knowing what's coming, I'm gonna be going a lot. So
yeah, I'm excited. Next year's gonna be a good one. And then the one after that, I don't know. The writer's strike is happening. It might be bad. Who knows?
Yeah.
But my number 5 is one that I saw pretty recently, Nightmare Alley. The new Guillermo del Toro flick. I think the best way I can describe this is like it's like The Prestige, but in a carnival in the 1940s, and that's pretty fun. If you are if you're a fan of The Prestige, the Chris Nolan film with Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale, that one's about two magicians that are competing with each other. And this one is about a guy who's trying to be a psychic. Well, not trying. He is, well, this is hard to explain, but he's like trying to learn how to be like a psychic at a carnival, how like doing the tricks and stuff to like pretend that you're reading minds and stuff, which is pretty cool. Man, it's kind of hard to describe why I like this movie so much without spoiling it, because I want to keep this fairly spoiler free. But Guillermo del Toro in the hot seat. It's some weirdo stuff. Everything is like super like dark and dingy. And I really dig that. That's one of the reasons why I'm kind of sad that I don't like horror movies, is because I really love the like dark and atmospheric tones that the horror movies can kind of give off, but I am just too much of a weenie baby idiot to like them. But this one's like right up my alley.
It's like the aesthetic.
I like the aesthetic. Yeah. Exactly right. and this one exudes that aesthetic. You know, I will say that this movie has like probably some of the realest gore I've ever seen in any movie, which is not a bad thing. I mean, before that it was Train to Busan, and I think it just got dethroned. But the difference between Train to Busan and Nightmare Alley is that Nightmare Alley uses it very sparingly. There's probably only like 3 scenes in the whole movie where someone like is like, you know, bludgeoned or whatever. There's gore in the movie. But every time it happens, it elicits a response. It is so real. I have no idea how they do that. Knowing Guillermo del Toro, it's probably some weird CGI trickery. But even then, it's pretty crazy. Who knows? I might watch this movie 10 years from now and be like, oh, that looks bad. But where we're at right now, I was kind of blown away by everything. You got some great performances. This thing has a great cast. You got Bradley Cooper as the main man. You got Rooney Mara as his love interest. You got Cate Blanchett as one of the I don't know exactly how to describe her. She's like a psychiatrist, and she's in the movie. You got Willem Dafoe as like the carnival ringleader. Oh frick, there's some other people too. I'm having a hard time remembering. Oh, Ron Perlman is like the muscle man. Toni Collette as the psychic that he is learning from. And all of them give absolutely spectacular performances. Willem Dafoe is on fire right now. He's in like so many things, and he's doing great in all of them. So yeah, check out Nightmare Alley. The only reason it isn't higher is that it is extremely long. It is 2 hours and 40 minutes, I believe. And it really doesn't need to be that long. It kind of slumps in the middle where it's like, okay, I get it. I know what's going on. I see the twist coming. Just, lay it on me. And then it does, but it takes a long time to get there. So that is my number 5. Check it out now. It is in theaters, if you can believe it.
Number 4, I have the Suicide Squad.
Okay.
We're definitely I was excited for this one just because it was a James Gunn rendition, and James Gunn makes some of the only superhero movies that I really enjoy. Mm-hmm. And it definitely worked with the rated R setting. The cast was pretty great. Mm-hmm. They took the pieces of the old Suicide Squad that worked and threw them in there. Then you also got bangers like John Cena.
John Cena's great in that movie.
John Cena did fantastic in this movie, and it was a complete surprise. Would have loved to see more Pete Davidson, but sorry. But the chemistry and the writing was great. He's such a good comedic writer. Mm-hmm. Nothing felt out of place or like Marvel plastic humor-ish.
Yes.
Which is something I have to eye roll at a lot. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's so satisfying when you have a superhero movie that doesn't take itself so seriously, but still has good quality humor that actually makes me laugh and not do an eye roll.
It's just fun.
It's got that comic booky feel still, which is great. Mm-hmm. The cast of characters is awesome. James Gunn is really good at just taking completely random people that have no chemistry with each other at all and just putting them in a group and making it work. That's his specialty. But soundtracking was great. Villains were cool. Yeah, I don't know if there's much negatives about it. The runtime seemed pretty good. There was a little bit of a lull towards the end. I felt like they drug out the ending boss fight a little bit too long.
Yeah.
But other than that, I thought it was pretty sick. I don't know about the Peacemaker show. That was a little weird as an end credit scene, but I don't know how that show is yet.
Yeah,
I think it's just coming out now.
It's coming out January. I think it's middle of January. It's coming out on HBO Max, which we might watch it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we can maybe check that out. I'm somewhat interested.
I think James Gunn is back on board for that, and John Cena is still playing Peacemaker.
Yes.
So
yeah, we'll see.
yeah, pretty cool.
But pretty cool superhero movie at my number 4.
Okay, I would never have a superhero movie that high up though.
Never.
My number 4 is Spider-Man: No Way Home. In the biggest twist ever, Spider-Man beats a lot of the movies I've seen this year. And it's the Marvel Spider-Man one, not even like a Spider-Verse anything.
Not even Spider.
Spider-Verse is coming out next year, which I'm sure will, well, I'm not sure, but it will probably will be pretty high up next year. But this Spider-Man movie, very surprisingly, was very, very good. I'm not going to give any spoilers still. We might do a spoiler discussion next week
because do that next week.
I think that the spoiler embargo will be up next week. I don't know when
think so.
Exactly.
3 weeks at that point.
Yeah. But we will warn you before we talk about spoilers. But I saw this opening day. Very excited about this movie. The fact that a lot of the old villains were coming back from the Sam Raimi universe and the Amazing Spider-Man universe made me very excited. I think it pretty much has them all except James Franco because,
some reason. Yeah.
some there's something going on. But I think that well, no, and Topher Grace as Venom is not there. But I think other than that, actually, no, because Spider-Man 2 had 3 villains and only one of them shows up. But that's fine. You don't need more Amazing Spider-Man 2 representation. Because they also had the Green Goblin and then they had the Rhino. But that's dumb. And
They referenced it, but it's like they're not going to put that in.
I don't want all of those guys. It's fine to just get like one per movie, which I think they kind of... No, they did. They did do that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, very cool. I believe John Watts is the guy that directed that one, which I don't know any of his past work. Might have, I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. But he seems to be a pretty good superhero movie director. Actually had an ending that I was not expecting. I had a feeling that there was going to be some stakes, but not to the extent that it had without going too much into it. I also really enjoyed that Doctor Strange was not a very big part of this movie. I was really worried that this was just going to be...
Number 1 Benedict Cumberbatch hater.
I really do not like Benedict Cumberbatch. I will be seeing the new Doctor Strange movie just because Sam Raimi is directing it, and I love Sam Raimi. And I want to support this man. I want him to keep getting movie deals with big studios. But Doctor Strange, I don't mind Doctor Strange too much as a character. I think he is horribly miscast as Benedict Cumberbatch because Doctor Strange is supposed to be like this wisecracking sorcerer, and Benedict Cumberbatch is not that at all. I think he is perfectly fine at playing Sherlock type characters where he has to be kind of straight and solve mysteries or whatever he does. I don't care. He's not like a Harrison Ford or something. Not that Harrison Ford would have been a good cast because there's no way he'd do that. But this movie was really freaking great. Got some pretty good Spider-Man action scenes. Of course, the last one, obviously very good. I really enjoyed Willem Dafoe's performance in this one also. I think having all of the villains come back really gave Marvel an excuse to kind of close up some loose ends that were left ambiguous because of Sony being a dumb idiot company that doesn't know how to run their most popular brand. I guess joined a club, Nintendo. Whatever. So this one really freaking good. Probably the best one out of the Spider-Man trilogy, the home trilogy, I guess we might call it. I don't know what we're going to call it, but yeah, pretty rare for the end of the trilogy to be the best one, but that's what happened. So there you go. Number 4, Spider-Man No Way Home.
Wow.
Yeah, very cool.
Number 3, I have Dune. Kind of mirroring what you said already, but I really like world building, but I also can hate sci-fi.
Yes.
AKA, like, I don't like the Star Wars world building because everything feels very plasticky and, like, overplayed because it is, but at the same time, they need to build stuff so they can milk as much content out of it as humanly possible.
Yes.
But with this, it felt very organic, very real. I love the style they went for. Not over futuristically. It's like actually like this could be how things look in 60 years.
Yeah.
With this design aesthetics and things, but I love the focus on like it explained the entire premise without coming off as just like reading from like an instruction manual of how to like set this world up.
Right.
They didn't dumb it down, but they wrote it in a way that was easy to take in. And they gave the movie the length that it needed for everybody to like be able to understand. But
yeah.
I love the focus on like the environment and like all the very specific societal and like political things that are happening without being boring, which is also like very hard to do. But you get that intrigue of like the mysterious people from the desert poking in every once in a while and like the dream sequences and stuff. So I think it's a really good setup, so I'm very interested in the second one. But just as a first one, I'm very impressed. To make a 2.5-hour movie of setup and not make it feel long or like boring and uninteresting is like very, very hard to do. But you got my stamp of approval.
Yeah, that was something I should have brought up in my review. That like, yeah, it never feels like, oh, like come on, I'm done listening to. Yeah, I've never felt like that. It's great. I love Dune. Yeah.
I also enjoyed being blinded in the theater. It really helped with the effect.
With all the fade to whites.
And then they just fade to white in a dark theater, and my eyes like would water because it's like such a drastic like flashbang.
I know. I don't know why they.
Then Zendaya would be on the screen, so I'm like whatever. And
then
go back and then
Yeah, your girl crush Tuesday shows up, and I'm like, oh wow, this is good.
This is a good movie.
All right, my number 3 is Judas and the Black Messiah. This one I had to look up if that actually came out this year, and it did.
I did too.
Yeah, it feels like we watched it a very long time ago.
It was in February, I think.
Oh, okay, that sounds about right. Yeah, this movie is really freaking good. Don't have like a whole lot of bad to say about it, but it has been a really long time since I've seen it. But I didn't know anything about Fred Hampton going in. Knew a little bit about the Black Panther Party, especially in Chicago. And that there was like a big presence there. And this movie does a lot to kind of enlighten you on all that went on during that time in history. And it really is pretty like heartbreaking at the end with like that the movie's called Judas and the Black Messiah, so like you kind of know what's gonna happen with like Keith Stanfield being Judas and Fred Hampton being the Black Messiah. It's and plus Fred Hampton. Well, I didn't know, but Fred Hampton actually did get shot in his hotel room while he was sleeping. So it is like really sad to see because they do not pull any punches with that. It really shows kind of like the horror of like the people around him and like what that situation must have been like and how that really echoes stuff going on even today with like stuff like Breonna Taylor and stuff where police are still just busting into people's homes and murdering them, which in February of 2021 hit a really close to home. So I recommend this movie a big ol' amount. I think this is Daniel Kaluuya's and Lakeith Stanfield's best performances. I think Daniel Kaluuya, one of the best actors out there right now. And Lakeith Stanfield, he's coming. I was about to say I don't think I've seen him miss, but he wasn't the best in The Hardest They Fall. He kind of phoned it in, but that's okay. I thought that movie was decent anyways. But yeah, definitely something to watch out for. I think they actually won an Oscar. I think Daniel Kaluuya won.
It was like that really weird category.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because both of them were supporting.
Yep, and there was no main role.
That was so dumb. Stupid. Yeah. Okay. Don't have the Oscars yet for 2022, but we'll probably make fun of it because they're gonna do some dumb
for sure.
stuff like that again. But yeah, I think Daniel Kaluuya won for that. I think it should have been Daniel Kaluuya wins for best main character, and then Lakeith Stanfield for supporting.
Yeah. It's like they like capped to how many Judas could win.
Yeah.
Which is weird since both actors like killed it.
Yeah. And I think there's like a reason they didn't want like it to sweep. Maybe because like I know the Oscars are so stupid when it comes to like campaigning and stuff, where it's like maybe they campaigned like an equal amount as something else, so to compromise, then Judas gets supporting, and then whatever won for best lead actor, then they probably got that because of cash. That's probably what's going to happen, or what happened. I know Spider-Man, the new one, is currently campaigning to be nominated for Best Picture. I think if that happens, or it's probably going to get nominated because Black Panther got nominated, and that is an infinitely worse movie than Spider-Man No Way Home. But, you know, I don't think it should win Best Picture, obviously, because I have two more things that are above Judas and the Black Messiah. But, yeah, definitely check this one out. I think it's on HBO Max, maybe?
Yeah. I don't know if it's still there. It was the limited run, I think.
It was the limited run, and then they take it away because then you want to go see it in theaters. Right. But I think by now it should be back.
I think it'll be back by now. Yeah.
So if you somehow missed it, oh wait, I guess I can see it right now on Letterboxd. I'm not in Germany, thank you. Stupid Letterboxd doesn't even know. Yeah, it's on HBO. So, check it out if you missed it. When the Oscar cycles happened last year. Adieu.
Number 2, I have Spider-Man No Way Home. I just saw this today, so it's fresh.
Good.
But, yeah, this is the rare Marvel movie that I really enjoyed and not just went to the theater and as like a social thing and just kind of like liked and then went home and forgot about it forever.
Right.
And didn't care. But I felt like this is a very good cap on this trilogy, and I think they are going to do more with it. I'm feeling Spider-Man being Marvel's main driver for this decade.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Groundwork. Yeah,
I think
which I would be down for because the Avengers thing got incredibly played out, and I always thought those movies were very plastic. The humor never really hit. It was more of like a, hey, let's just put in these funny jokes that aren't funny, and they're just like borderline, like very basic personality things that we'll throw in so audiences can chuckle at their favorite character.
Right.
This one felt more organic, I would say. It felt like it was more conversational and not like, oh, I'm the strongest man in the universe, and then someone else is like, oh, me too.
Yeah.
But I love like the inclusion of all the villains. It was very nostalgic, but at the same time had a very strong purpose. I think it cleaned up a lot of like plot holes and things, but the movie's ethics are very cool.
Yeah.
I haven't really seen a Marvel movie like that do that in a long time. Where they had a big ethic like statement where they wanted this to be the preserving quality and like message of the movie and the trilogy. But I thought it was great. It didn't like, they didn't make it so the writing didn't hold up and like it like bent backwards to get the message across. Black Panther.
Yeah.
But I don't know. This was so weird seeing in a theater because the last two movies I saw were Last Night in Soho and Dune, so these were very cinematic, artsy, composed movies with long shots, and then I go into this one and it's like handheld immediately.
Yeah.
You jump right in. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
It took me a while to get back into it, but once I was, I enjoyed it quite a bit. But
yeah.
without any spoilers or anything, I really think they went very ambitious with this idea, and for the most part, I think they nailed it. Like,
yes.
There wasn't any major like plot holes that you can call and instantly be like, hey, that's not how that happened. But at the same time, you need context to fully enjoy this movie. I have seen all the other Spider-Man movies, so it makes sense. But if you were to bring in like, you know, a family member to just watch a Marvel movie like you would with 99% of other Marvel movies in the past 5 years, besides like the main Avengers series, it would be a little difficult to follow, I think.
Yeah, you kind of need to see the other Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, I would say.
Which, I mean, like, this is definitely not like Homecoming or something where it's like, this is made for MCU fans, but also people who like Spider-Man. It's like, no, this is a Spider-Man movie for people who have seen all the other Spider-Man movies.
Exactly.
That's what's
being someone who has, it worked really well.
Yes.
So,
yes.
But I also like when Marvel movies have big stakes and they do not back out of them like cowards like they do in 90% of their movies.
Yes.
I love how this one ended. I love how far they took it. They weren't afraid about it. I think this really pushed what's his face? Why am I forgetting his name?
Tom Holland?
Tom Holland. Yeah, it really pushed his acting, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
I hadn't seen that in the first two. Even though he did have good performances, I wasn't sure how he was going to handle this kind of atmosphere, but he did it pretty well.
Right.
It's really starting to see him as like the best Spider-Man throughout this.
I think he is, yeah.
He's got that combo where he can be like that goofy kid, but I think this movie showed that he can do both.
Yeah.
So
I think that's...
Tom Holland haters are seething.
Yeah, I know.
After this trilogy, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
But even like the world building, the technology stuff was really cool. But yeah, I just really enjoyed it. I still am waiting for Into the Spider-Verse because, you know.
Across the Spider-Verse.
Across the Spider-Verse, sorry.
It's going to be so
Their
confusing.
naming conventions are so awful, by the way. I'm putting it at number 2 because the naming conventions are awful.
I know. Hopefully, I know they're doing a Spider-Man 4. I think they've already confirmed that because I think this is the highest grossing Marvel movie since Endgame.
Oh yeah, I didn't realize how big this movie was until like it came out and everybody was freaking out.
Oh yeah, and like theaters were sold out,
but it was huge.
Yeah. I think this is like the first Marvel movie to come out that people cared about because like you know, like Black Widow, Shang-Chi was a new IP, but like the people who like saw it liked it, and then Eternals, and it's like who cares, you know? Who wants to see?
I don't
like,
think anybody cared about that actually.
No, and you know, Chloe Zhao directed that one, so you know, I knew it was going to be a bad one, and then everyone else saw it and saw it was a bad one. I'm like, haha, I knew it. I felt vindicated. But yes, Spider-Man, very good. I forgot to bring up Tom Holland. He does do a great job. I think Tobey Maguire, as much as I love Tobey Maguire, not the best Spider-Man. He's a great Peter Parker, but you know.
Oh yeah, he's a fantastic Peter Parker.
I think he might be the best Peter Parker, but when it comes to actually like Spider-Manning, you know.
But his quirk is just so there. I love
his quirk, yeah. Andrew Garfield is a great Spider-Man, not a horrible Peter Parker. And when the majority of the movie is Peter Parker stuff, then it's
I feel like he had the opportunity to be a great Spider-Man, but I feel like the writing he was given was not.
Oh, true. Yeah.
The best.
Especially going from Sam Raimi to I forgot who does Amazing Spider-Man 2. That guy's like horrible. I don't think he got any work after that. But yeah, that might be the worst superhero movie. I think I love
the jabs that they take at that trilogy in the movie too. They were very self-aware.
Yes, they do. They do some jabs, but they also kind of do a lot of like love letters to Amazing Spider-Man, and I'm like, who cares about Amazing Spider-Man?
It wasn't your fault.
That's true. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't Andrew Garfield. No, I'm not blaming him.
It was cool. I think under like a good writing team, he could be like really, really good.
For sure, yeah. I have nothing against him. I like Andrew Garfield. Yeah.
Yeah, but thoroughly enjoyed it. Again, a 2.5-hour movie that didn't seem long. So
yes.
If you got that, you're immediately like good in my book.
For sure. For sure. Unfortunately, I think my top two are both very short, so I cannot echo that. My number two, I think this will come as a surprise to most, maybe not Babby, but it is Inside by Bo Burnham. I think both this one and my number one are completely perfect. 5 out of 5s. I think Inside, the comedy special, not just the music, which I did talk about in the music top 25 of the year, which you guys can hear later or watch, I guess, later this week. I, kind of rated it pretty low on that list just because I feel like using the music by itself, while I do enjoy some of the music, I think cohesively as an album, it doesn't really hold a candle to a lot of like complete like musical projects. But I think using the music as a backdrop to Inside itself is fantastic. I think this is I think this is the best comedy special I've ever seen in terms of directing, cinematography. This thing is absolutely phenomenal, and the fact that Bo Burnham pretty much did this all by himself. I know he did have some assistant editors and stuff, but for the most part, it's just Bo Burnham in his room singing songs and doing some weirdo stuff with lights, which as someone who, has experience in setting up lights and knows how much of a nightmare it is.
It's horrible.
It's absolutely horrible. I hate doing lights. I cannot even imagine what it was like to do that all by yourself it's a pretty small room.
Yeah, the space he's in was not accommodating it either. So.
No. Especially because he's doing this all while being quarantined for COVID. Because I guess if you somehow don't know the story of this, even though it was insanely popular beginning of this year, Bo Burnham was gone for a very long time. I think about 5 years. I think he left in 2017. He was having anxiety, panic attacks on stage, stopped doing stand-up, and then came back by making a stand-up, I put that in quotes, show in his house. I don't know if this is exactly his house, but it looks like it might be just like an Airbnb or something. I don't know how that works, but it's a pretty small house, and I don't imagine that Bo Burnham lives there. But he's just recording everything, making the music, editing, doing all the lighting, setting up the cameras, and he just recorded that over the course of 2020 and then released it beginning of 2021. And I think it is the absolute perfect representation of what quarantine was like, how in the first half it is kind of funny, not funny, but people were like making bread and binge watching shows, and like it was like, oh, let's have like a fun little staycation, we're gonna just chill for a minute. And then it like kept going, and then everybody started doing way worse, and by the end it's just so depressing and sad because not only are we dealing with like quarantine stuff, but also there's a lot of like social unrest that was happening in the end of 2020. And I think that is perfectly represented here in Inside. So if you somehow haven't seen it yet, check out Inside by Robert Burnham.
Robert Burnham.
So
epic.
Your number one.
My number one is Inside. Wow.
Oh,
wow.
Oh, okay.
Crazy.
I was wondering what your number one was gonna be.
Yeah. I just kind of put it there. Like, in general, because I think it is like the best experience I've gotten, like in terms of like creativity, uniqueness, and genre bending, I would say, because I don't even think I classify this as a comedy special, even though it does have elements in it.
Yeah.
But I kind of call it like a multimedia experience because it does have everything.
Yes.
But I think it perfectly encapsulates the past couple years, and the kind of future of content creation and its kind of more professional outlook in the coming years. Like this is like a kind of like a YouTube thing, like done to the extreme with high quality production, writing, everything. And it's kind of like a thing where it's like you could make this if you wanted to, if you have the right stuff. So it felt very personal. It felt very intimate. Didn't feel big budget or any of that. Music works well in the special. I don't listen to it outside of the special. I kind of just keep it as the times like keeping thing in the special, just because I think outside of it, it lacks context, and like there's so many other artists that can do better things than him in the same realm. I think he's getting better and better. This is definitely his best batch of songs from a special he's done.
Yes.
But I mean, if you gave your cover to someone like Phoebe Bridgers, she's obviously gonna outdo you.
Right.
But in terms of just like the special in general, pretty great. I don't really watch it a lot because it is kind of like painful to bring back what 2020 was like, and that's not the energy I'm on right now. That can be painful and damaging. You have to just replay that in your head constantly. But I do think he tackled things very well. The social unrest thing was kind of very interesting because like he's very self-aware, like crippling wise, so where he'll be like, I want to speak on social issues, but I'm also not the person to speak on that, since I'm literally like an upper class white man
right,
who's making a film in my bedroom. And is like his awkwardness of trying to like steer that through. But it was very interesting to see how he tackled it, and pretty entertaining, but at the same time like still pretty accurate in terms of what was happening and the feelings towards people, and how he's able to like step outside of himself and make fun of a certain group of people for like all of a sudden caring, even though despite not caring about social issues like literally months ago.
Yeah.
And like the radicalization of people through a pandemic is shown pretty well in there as well. So I feel like he kind of nailed all elements, while being extremely self-aware, funny at times, very like intimate and personal at other times.
Right.
But yeah, I like the degradation of the mood as it goes on, where it's like happy and funny. It's like, oh, here's sexting, and here's, you know, white woman's Instagram, and that it's like slowly starts fading down and down as the months progress, and you can see it in real time.
Yeah.
So very, very great like artistic achievement in all realms. Even though it's not a traditional movie in a sense, I think it does count in this category. But
yeah,
I'm
counting.
I very much enjoyed it. I'm not a big fan of stand-up, so something like this is a lot more my space.
Yes, I think
I like theatrics.
And Bo Burnham is very capable of doing that.
Yes.
He even did some of that when he was doing traditional stand-up, which I was always a big fan of. But this is obviously it to the extent.
Exactly.
Very cool.
I do want to nominate Dave Chappelle's The Closer as the worst movie I've seen this year, if we're counting comedy specials. So
let me see if I watched something
I want
worse.
my time back.
Was it worse than Space Jam?
Yes.
Okay. Let me see what else I saw.
Space Jam made me cringe a little bit, but like LeBron's smile that he did every time like brought me back.
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle I was just cringing at for like an hour and a half or however long it was. So
I have them both at 1.5 star.
Okay,
Letterboxd.
cool.
Yeah. So it's probably
just
a tie.
throw that out there as, you know.
Yeah. I think Space Jam is probably the worst movie, but Dave Chappelle's The Closer made me feel worse.
Yeah, I got a lot worse feeling off of the Dave Chappelle one, because I know Space Jam was like just a fun movie.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be campy.
This, I've never watched the degradation of a person so fast, so.
Yes. Yes, I would like to nominate Ghostbusters Afterlife as the second worst movie I've seen this year. Well,
there's my top and bottom movie.
Yeah, there we go. I do have some very short honorable mentions before my number one pick. Two of them are the two Disney movies that came out this year, Encanto and Raya the Last Dragon. Both of them are very visually attractive, but beyond that, stories kind of fell flat. Encanto was probably the better one out of the two, just because you got that Lin-Manuel Miranda soundtrack. So you know you got some killer tracks on there. But I mean, aside from that, it wasn't anything really new. So yeah, but still worth seeing because they're both good. But you know, honorable mention. And my other honorable mention, it absolutely breaks my heart that it's on this list. It's Licorice Pizza. Didn't even make the top 10. I'm so sad. I just saw this movie today, and I am so disappointed. I gave it a 3 out of 5. It's not great. I'm usually very lenient with 4s. But this movie, I had heard some comparisons to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. They both are period pieces set in LA. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is set in 1969. Licorice Pizza is happening a little bit later in the 1970s. A little bit focused more on Nixon and Vietnam era. But man, they worked really hard to get the set design and production design, wardrobe, hair and makeup, like all of those are like absolutely phenomenal. It feels like I'm watching a movie in the 70s, which is great. That is something that I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood does phenomenally. It's like one of the best period pieces I've seen. But unfortunately, Licorice Pizza is kind of weird. Because basically it just follows the story of these two characters. The lady, why can't I remember her name? It's the Alana. It's the same name as the actress. Alana and Gary. The trick is that Alana is 25 and Gary is 15. I don't feel like I need to say anything more about that. I have no idea why the age gap is like that. But yeah, it's so weird because they're like trying to set up this romance between the two. But Gary is a 15-year-old and he acts like a 15-year-old, and Alana is a 25-year-old and is fully mature and is like interested in other adult men because of course she is, but for some reason she keeps crawling back to the 15-year-old, and it is very cringy and hard to watch kind of at some points. And it's like, why are you still with this 15-year-old? Go meet someone else. So it's a little bit weird seeing that. And you know, I have seen some complaints because there's a racist joke in it, or a couple. Well, the same joke twice. That's the thing, is that it is very tonally inconsistent because sometimes it's a romance, sometimes it's a comedy, or it tries to be a comedy. I actually don't think that the joke is as bad as some people are making it sound. I will briefly explain what the joke is because in case you haven't seen the controversy, there is a couple, or I guess a dude. There is a dude in the film that keeps marrying Japanese women. But the thing is, he's kind of like a weeb. I guess he's exactly a weeb. He's a white dude who's like, he wishes he was Japanese. He like has a Japanese restaurant. He marries exclusively Japanese women, even though he doesn't speak Japanese. And like all the waitresses in his restaurant wear kimonos and stuff. Which, I mean, the joke is obviously that this dude is a creep and like an idiot, which is, you know, that's kind of funny. But every time he talks to his wife, he does kind of like an offensive Asian accent, but just talking in English because he doesn't speak Japanese. And some people are like really kind of blaming Paul Thomas Anderson for that. I don't think that's the worst joke ever. I've definitely seen worse from Dave Chappelle's The Closer. So, yeah.
Also, those weren't jokes. This is an actor playing a movie role.
Right. And like, I don't know. Like I saw, that was the thing. Like I was talking with, I saw it with my buddy Grant, or our buddy Grant, I suppose. And he was kind of saying that he didn't really like the joke, and I said, well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it was.
You're not supposed to.
You're not supposed to. And like, it's not like the joke isn't at the expense of the Asian person. It's at the expense of the white dude.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I think the difference is. Because I don't think it's necessarily racist towards Asian people. That's what I've kind of seen.
No.
That it's, I'm like, no, that's not really what's going on here. But the actor that plays that guy, I really enjoy him. He's in Arrested Development and Community. So it was kind of funny to see him there. And also the waitress from Always Sunny plays Gary's mom. That was also kind of a trip. So I guess if you want to see it, it's getting glowing reviews from everybody. It has like a 93, I think, on Rotten Tomatoes critically, and an 85 audience score. On Letterboxd, the majority of the reviews are 4 stars and up, so I'm definitely in the minority saying that it was pretty But honestly, I kind of expected a whole lot more from Paul Thomas Anderson, and the writing was pretty bad. I mean, the dialogue writing was pretty good, but it was like the overall writing was pretty bad. So I just thought I'd put it in my honorable mentions because I was very excited to see this movie, and then it let me down a little bit. I still gave it a 3.
The longest honorable mention goes to Licorice Pizza.
I needed to explain myself a little bit because that's going to be controversial, I think. But my number one pick, I don't think this is going to be a surprise for anyone who has watched the podcast for a long time. It is The French Dispatch.
What?
I know. By Wes Anderson. I knew basically nothing about this movie going in. I knew that Wes Anderson, one of my favorite directors, I think, at this point. I have been kind of binging his stuff this year. I'd pretty much just seen The Grand Budapest Hotel, and I absolutely love that movie. So I decided, you know what, hey, I'll watch some more of his movies in preparation for The French Dispatch. So I saw like The Royal Tenenbaums and The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. Is that it? That might be it. I feel like I watched another one, though. I don't know. They all kind of feel the same. Which is the one thing that I will knock against Wes Anderson, but this movie does not really feel like those at all. And that is why I think it is my favorite one out of all of them. Which, again, is a controversial thing to say, but whatever. I really enjoyed this thing. I really love how it takes a whole lot of different stories and kind of bring them together under the backdrop of it's the different articles that are being written for this magazine. I think performances are pretty great all around, even from Timothée Chalamet, who I am not generally super impressed with, but I think he actually had a pretty decent year this year. I thought he was pretty good in Dune. I thought he was pretty good in The French Dispatch. So, maybe I need to turn my attitude around on him. Maybe he's grown a lot.
Do.
I'm still not going to say he's hot because I don't believe that, but
this is a talk for another day.
That's another, next week we'll have our in-depth, is Timothée Chalamet hot? I know Bab Jab loves Timothée Chalamet, thinks he's very hot. But we'll talk about that later. I think, the writing in it is fantastic. I absolutely love I want to say like the coloring, but most of it is in black and white, but each story kind of has its own feel to it. I think each story is in a different aspect ratio. There are stories that are in like 4:3. There are some that are in 16:9. There are some that are in like super letterboxed. And then there are like straight up 2D animated, I don't know why I said it like that, 2D animated segments that I think are fantastic. I absolutely love 2D animation. I think it is the only kind of animation that doesn't age, because you watch Toy Story 1 and it looks old and dusty, but you can watch something like Cinderella and it's pretty much the same as when it came out in the 50s. So I think anytime you can add 2D animation to a movie, that's pretty g-dang good, in my opinion. Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot of bad things to say about it. I think it's relatively short. I don't believe it is too long. I think the only thing that I would say that is negative about it is that it was very selective on theaters, so that Bambi was not able to see it. So that is the only thing that I'll say against it. Yeah, it was only 108 minutes, an hour and 48, very accessible. Plus everyone's favorite actor, Henry Winkler, is in it.
Let's go.
So who doesn't love Henry Winkler? I would love to see one person that doesn't like Henry Winkler, except for Tom Hanks, because they have beef. But that, yeah, I know. It's like the two nicest guys in Hollywood. They hate each other. But that is my top 10 movies of the year. Now we just have gaming.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love epic gaming?
I love gaming.
Me too. Do you want to start gaming or should I start gaming?
I can start gaming.
Okay.
Personal bias first. I play mostly multiplayer games and shooters. I maybe play one or two single player games a year, or when I have a massive itch to just randomly dig into like some single player experience. But I'm mostly a multiplayer. I need to play against other people competitively wise usually. But with that, I have one honorable mention in Splitgate. I put it as an honorable mention because it has technically been out for 2 years, but this year it got like traction out of nowhere.
Yeah. Got out of early access, didn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's still kind of been around, so I put it as an honorable mention just in case. But really inventive idea. It's basically Halo with like extremely fluid movement, and portal mechanics and things.
Yes.
So the matches are super like it runs super smooth too. So the matches are always dynamic and different. I think it's a really good game that could get better as long as the dev team keeps going. I could see it getting bigger. Maybe with a console release too, they can get some clout up.
Yeah.
But number 5, I have Resident Evil Village. 7 was too much for me, and I think they toned it down and went back to the formula that I liked from Resident Evil with this one, where it's less of like a realistic like horror, like super incredibly horror thing. Like Village 7 just struck me the wrong way all the time. Maybe because it was all the things I didn't like in horror, where it was like too much for me. But this one had like those characters that were like had all these personalities and things, and there were multiple of them, so that didn't like have like it didn't linger too long. But you had like the castle, you had the swamp guy, all these different things with these different worlds. You had these vampires and there are werewolves everywhere. So it's that old school like Resident Evil. We don't take ourselves too seriously, but at the same time, it's still kind of like scary once you get into it. But pretty enjoyable. I am interested to see where they go for the next one. They seem like they're setting up a lot of stuff. I just hope they keep on this formula, because this one's a lot more entertaining to me than like 7, where you're just trying to run away from the old guy that's like made out of termites, and it's like absolutely terrifying.
Yeah. Well, they only have one more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm incredibly like creeped out of like the old man, like cannibal setting.
Yeah.
Like that is terrifying to the point where I won't even play it. So
yeah,
but this one it's like you got vampire MILF. So I mean,
yeah, that's all you plus.
Need. Yeah, that's all you need really. That's what people got. That's what got a lot of people like into the game first off, which was like brilliant marketing to be honest.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, despite even her, like the other villains are pretty great too.
Big Baby.
Yeah,
Big Baby's pretty scary.
Big Baby, you got the swamp guy. Pretty good.
Yeah. All right. I guess my gaming biases. I find that more and more I tend to have less. I've been trying a whole lot of new genres, really branching out, trying things that I probably wouldn't have. This year I discovered that card games are fun. I didn't know that that was going to be possible.
The mighty have fallen.
Not like Hearthstone or anything like that. But like I've been playing a lot of like roguelike card builder games, and I do love a good roguelike. So I've discovered that those are fun. But I don't know. Should I do my honorable mentions now or in between 1 and 2?
Doesn't matter.
Okay. I'll just do them now. I don't have a whole lot to say. Most of these are indie games, so I am kind of sad that they didn't get to make my top 10. But also I haven't finished the grand majority. Well, actually, all of these I haven't finished, so that's awesome. My first honorable mention is Sable. This game is on the Xbox Game Pass, so there's no excuse to not play it. I talked about it a while ago when I was playing it, I think in the fall. It is a absolutely great game, borrows a lot from Breath of the Wild, but really kind of pushes the narrative end of things, because Breath of the Wild does not have the best narrative, but that is completely fine. But this one really tries to tell a story that is completely your own, where you are venturing out and trying to discover who you are and what you want to be, which as a young adult person is something that obviously resonates with me very heavy. And I would encourage anyone else to play it if you are in the same situation. My second honorable mention, this one is going to be a big honorable mention, is Inscription. I'm actually not going to talk too much about this game because I think the less you know about it, the better. I will say that it is similar to things like Overwatch, why did I say that? Undertale, or Overwatch, I was also going to say Doki Doki Literature Club, so definitely not Overwatch. It's by Daniel Mullins, who made Pony Island. So if you are familiar with Pony Island, that was a pretty big game in 2017, I think. But he likes doing these kind of, seems normal at first, and then it takes a turn, and it's like super dark and scary, like Doki Doki, or I get Undertale wasn't super dark and scary.
It's scary. It just got real.
Yeah, it got real. So I haven't finished this game. The thing with his stuff is that they are very hard. And I've gotten to the point now where it seems to be largely luck-based, and that is incredibly infuriating for me. So I will beat it. I know I'm going to. But right now I have started to play other games like these other two honorable mentions. Speaking of James Gunn, Guardians of the Galaxy by the Square Enix one. Biggest surprise of the year. Avengers came out this year and was an absolute dumpster fire. I don't know if anyone liked that game. Only time I saw people care about it is when they added Spider-Man and nobody liked his suit design. So that's pretty much all you need to know about Marvel's Avengers. But Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm playing through it right now. It's actually really enjoyable. I am not very far in it at all. I'm maybe only a couple hours in. But, anytime you can do digital dress up is a big plus for me. And you don't only have digital dress up for yourself. You have digital dress up for all 5 Guardians of the Galaxy. And that's fun. That's something I can get behind. So I have big ups. I know it won Best Narrative at the Game Awards. That's what kind of got me interested, because I'm like, really? Guardians of the Galaxy for Best Narrative? Now that's something I have to check out. And right now I haven't really got that, but I have been getting some great writing. It actually feels like a Guardians of the Galaxy game that was like written by James Gunn when it comes to like interpersonal dialogue. So I recommend it so far. It's pretty good. And then number 9 is Eastward. I have a feeling that this thing is going to be very long. But what I will say is if you like top-down action-adventure games like Zelda or Death's Door, which I will be talking about later, and you want one that is set in the Studio Ghibli universe, then play Eastward, because that's what it is. I don't think I'm even done with the prologue yet, and I'm like 4 hours in. So it's going to be very long. But, you know, Red Dead is very long, and it is probably the best game of all time, according to everyone ever. And with that, that is all my honorable mentions. I played a lot this year, so I would have felt weird not including them. But my number 5, which I wish was in my number 4 slot, but it is Back 4 Blood. This is a game that we have a few hours in. It got a little too hard, but we did beat it. I really enjoy the kind of spin on the Left 4 Dead model where you got all 4 of us fighting zombies, but you kind of get to like design your kit, and there's a lot of kind of strategic planning that you can do with the card system, and I really enjoy that aspect of it. I find that really engaging, which usually when it comes to like stats and like stuff like that is like an instant turn off for me. I hate stuff like that. But in this game, it really incentivizes you to get the best kit, because this game is hard as nails. I haven't played the December update, so maybe it isn't anymore, but that is my number 5. Epic.
Number 4, I have Halo Infinite, specifically the multiplayer. I haven't played the campaign yet.
Oh, frick.
Dang it. You forgot? Oh, no.
I forgot about Halo Infinite.
Oh,
no.
But I got to put this at number 4 purely for a AAA company releasing a good multiplayer FPS. That is something that doesn't happen anymore, apparently. Battlefield completely flopped, the hardest I've ever seen this year. And COD just released another COD game. Yep. So, you know, but Halo came back with probably its best multiplayer experience ever, I would say.
I'd say that's fair.
The best I've played out of any Halos, for sure. But it's still got the classic Halo feel. The gun selection is really great. The maps are pretty cool. The customization's off the charts, although I will say the Battle Pass still needs tweaking. It's still a little slow. For like the 75 tiers you give us, it's very, very slow ranking up.
Yes.
But I think like as of a launch title, like just coming out, I think it still had quite a bit of content. The Halo formula stays the same, which is not a bad thing. People get that nostalgia, and it's still definitely Halo, but the movement is very fluid. The gameplay is very fluid. The performance on PC just got better with their recent update.
Yeah.
So they are increasing that. But yeah, there are annoying things in Halo, but that's just from a gameplay perspective and something I'm not used to because I have never played like a FPS made specifically for consoles, like on a PC now. There's like weird things that happen that like gameplay wise where it's like, why do people do this instead of this?
Yeah.
But that's just not me understanding the game yet because Halo is a very technical game. I just don't know how to play it yet. It's something unlike I've played really. But yeah, I got to give it to a AAA studio for doing a good FPS game for free.
For free, yeah.
So hopefully this sets a precedent for the other 2 big FPS franchises that decide to just continue dropping the ball for $60. So.
Yeah. Yeah, good game. I will talk about it later. I had to do some switching around to put it in. Death's Door I had to kick out. Sorry, Death's Door. It's a good 2D Zelda game made by Devolver, so play it if you like that. That's all I need to say about it. My number 4, which I wish was Back 4 Blood, but it is Deathloop. It is the game of the year, except it isn't, but it was nominated the most for stuff at the Game Awards. Yeah. And, I was, I don't think I was skeptical of it. I knew Arcane as being the Dishonored boys, and I really enjoy Dishonored. I think it's no secret that it is a really bad story, but I think every game has a pretty bad story for the most part. I think this one had some like really great stealth gameplay though, and that definitely carries over into Deathloop, except now there's guns in it. And guns there are. There are some really interesting gun design stuff. It's not just like pistols, SMGs, shotguns, assault rifles, LMGs, whatever. There are some really unique gun types in this game where like dual pistols that can turn into SMGs, or like there's like an SMG that has like two clips in it, so you can like shoot and reload at the same time. It's pretty wacky. There's a lot of the humor in it is pretty decent. I don't think it's like the best thing ever, but sometimes it does surprise me. So I would recommend it. I don't get why it was nominated for everything under the sun, but it was pretty enjoyable. I did just get the bad ending on accident, so oops. Bad me, I guess. It was on accident, on record. Oops. So there we go. Deathloop number 4.
Epic. Number 3, Back 3 Blood.
Oh.
I would like to put it higher, but, you know, it's still got things that need fixed. We have not played December update, but
Yes.
As a basis of a game, I saw so much potential in it, and a lot of the potential is met just on launch. Even from, like, the beta to launch, there was massive improvements. And it runs fantastic. The gunplay is so much better than the Source engine.
Mm-hmm.
Everything felt really smooth and like reactive. So gunplay was really great. The Left 4 Dead method is actually like upgraded. A lot of people like were hating on this game, but I think those people were stuck in the past.
Yeah.
And don't want to move on from Left 4 Dead 2, which is a shame because this game really does improve on everything Left 4 Dead 2 did.
Mm-hmm.
I think besides memorable characters,
Yes.
this game does have some good characters.
Gotta hear Evangelo.
Evangelo's stupid, but with the new update, we won't probably have them unless we randomly get him, because I think it's a randomizer now.
I think it was, solo people can change who they want,
Yeah.
but I think now it's random for everyone else. Yeah.
Which is good, because Evangelo got really annoying.
I hate Evangelo.
But yeah, there were things that needed to be fixed. I think most of those are fixed now.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the idea of like campaign split into acts, and then like the skill trees to get the best possible things you can get, and then playing it again in a harder difficulty. I like the challenge. Left 4 Dead is pretty easy.
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah, it's very arcadey, but this one is like you can min-max
Yes.
tons of different skills. All the weapons can be viable. There's not like a bad weapon or like a meta gun. It's like whatever your kit will provide you the most like skill with, you can gravitate towards, because like I'd never use a sniper in a zombie game until I can have a kit where I have like 50% more damage with snipers and like 200% bullet penetration. Then I have to carry a sniper with me, and it's like really good.
Yeah.
So, I think I like these games where there are classes and there's weapons, and you get to use every weapon as a viable source. A lot of times these kind of games, like I would say like Counter-Strike, there's a lot of weapons, but like once you get to really knowing the game, there's only like 3 that you touch.
Right.
Which is unfortunate, but I like being able to use the whole arsenal here.
Yeah. I think that's good.
This game has a very bright future, and it is very enjoyable from a casual and like a let's try really hard this run and like get our perfect decks ready and strategize this perspective. So
Yes.
I think people are hating on it way too much. I think it's a great game.
I agree.
Think it could get better. So good job, Turtle Rock.
Yeah. Keep on doing it. It's like the only
think they just
studio
got
to come
bought out.
back.
So
Did they? Did they get bought out by
Yeah.
Microsoft?
no, someone, I forgot who it was.
Amazon?
real quick.
Don't tell me it's Amazon.
I don't know.
It would make me very sad.
Tencent. Oof.
Tencent. What's Tencent do?
Tencent is a gigantic Chinese company, I believe.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah.
But it looks like it's retaining its independent operations in California. So it looks like they might just be more marketing wise.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's.
But Tencent is like PUBG Mobile
Oh.
and those kind of games where they're like
dang.
heavily marketable in Asia. So
Okay,
we'll see how that works. But I mean,
yeah,
as long as they don't interfere creatively, I'm good with this.
Yeah, it's like the only time that like a dev from an old game studio comes back and make a game that they made before but better, because like Yooka-Laylee tried to do that.
Yep.
It was like, yeah, that was kind of a disaster. So yeah, good job, Turtle Rock. My number 3 is something that I had planned from the very beginning. It is Halo Infinite, the campaign this time.
Okay.
I specifically want to talk about the campaign since you did not, because I pretty much have the same opinions as you on the multiplayer. I enjoy the multiplayer. I suck at it, but that's okay. The campaign, on the other hand, is a whole lot of fun. I think it's going to be really hard to play any of the old Halo games that don't have a grappling hook, because I swear this is the best mechanic that Halo has ever added to their game ever. It feels so good to like zip around corners or like grapple onto an enemy and then melee him and then steal his gun and then shoot someone else. It's like it really feels like you're a super cool guy, where like I felt like before you're just kind of like a soldier that everyone liked a lot, but no, like this time you've earned it. You're a cool guy now. I have to say that story is kind of laughable. It's very generic. Yes. But they also treat the events of the previous games as if they're the gospel, when they are also just generic sci-fi fodder so that you can get to the mission where you drive a warthog into a tank or something. That's really all these games are, but they seem to like really put some of the chips in the story, when I think the best part about this game is the gameplay. There are so many different gun types. Every single one of them is viable in the campaign, which is not true necessarily in the multiplayer. Like the shock rifle is actually pretty good in the campaign, and it absolutely sucks in multiplayer. But it just feels like so good, like and it's like certain weapon types are good against different types of enemies. So like why the shock rifle is so good is because there are like robot enemies. So when you need to take out a robot enemy, you pull out your shock rifle and zap them to Kingdom Come. But then you got like your shotguns and regular Halo type guns, and those are good for shooting at the aliens, which you're fighting most of the time. But I think that this is probably one of the best games I've played this year gameplay wise, because it is pretty fun. I think Donkey did bring up in his review that there's a lot of copy and paste missions, and that is true. A lot of the side content is like go here and hunt down a high value target, and it's like that sounds fun, but they're just regular enemies with more health, and that's kind of lame. Except the grunts. Sometimes the high value targets are grunts, then you just run them over with a ghost and then the mission's over, and that's kind of funny. But I will say that it does incentivize you to do those, because each one of the high value targets are they are equipped with a regular gun that has a modification to it. And I think the only thing that's bad about that is that it doesn't necessarily tell you what the modification is. You kind of have to guess based on the name. So like some of them are easy, where it's like rapid fire, plasma rifle or something, where it's like, okay, that's easy because that's just a burst rifle gun default. And then when you get the modification on it, then the bursts are like way closer together, and you can eventually like essentially just have like a full auto gun. But then there's stuff like the Duelist's energy sword, which I have no idea what it does, except it looks a deeper shade of blue than the regular energy sword. And that's cool enough, honestly. But yeah, you can pick one of those up at the Assassin's Creed outpost that you have to clear. So that's pretty epic. I do like that. But yeah, I don't think anything will compare to, the moments where I pick up an explosive barrel with my grappling hook and then I huck it 500 miles down the road and explode a big old group of aliens. And I think that's the reason you play Halo. It's a whole lot of fun.
That's why grappling hooks need to be in every game.
As long as they're as good as this one, I don't know. This might be the best grappling hook I've ever played. It's kind of astonishing how good it is. Because it feels really great. And I think the reason for that is that it isn't just like a hook shot or something where like you grapple onto a surface and then like you just go there and then your momentum stops. Like when you like grapple into something, you basically go where you're looking, and it essentially kind of acts as like a web swinger. Like so you can like kind of sling around corners really fast, or you can like grapple into the floor and then b-hop out of it, and it gives you like a really long boost, which they never tell you how to do that, but that's been like an essential like move in my gameplay. And I think that's what's really fun about it, is that you're able to find these movement combinations that are entirely your own. It isn't like the game being like, hold Q to do a super big jump. And it's like, no, I can do a super cool jump by like grappling into a tree. And then like, you know, if you grapple onto an explosive barrel, then the momentum carries through to that and it sends you flying. That is a bug, but it is useful. So yeah, it's very fun. So if you have Xbox Game Pass, it's free. So why not? It's fun.
Why not?
Yeah, that's my number 3.
My number 2, fittingly, It Takes Two.
Yo.
I had to put it at number 2 for that. But yeah, I think Yosef improved on everything from his last title. I think the story is very passable, which is good. Game standard wise, narratives, I gotta tone it down expectation wise because they're never truly that good.
Yes.
But this one's very passable, especially compared to A Way Out. This one takes more of an approach of everything kind of game. Like the level design and the types of mini games you have to do and everything range quite a bit. Mm-hmm. They all of them work out well, which is even more impressive. I think the split screen kind of thing needs to catch on more. I think more studios need to start investing on this type of game because this is a lost art.
Yes,
for sure. In the past, like new generation consoles, even like the PS4 and Xbox One, started fading away. Yeah. Take me back to the 360, where every game had a split screen mode that actually worked.
Yeah,
I like this formula. It gives a different kind of connection when you're playing a video game. That's what it should be all about, to be honest. But just really cool concept, pulled off really well. I guess you should just play it. Like you can buy one copy and you get 2, which is also another big thing. You don't both have to buy the game. You can just buy one copy and give it to the person you're going to play with.
Yeah, I think that's
for
awesome.
all ages too, which is also a plus. So
yeah,
this is definitely a very good step forward in creativity and just like giving people a certain itch that hasn't been scratched in a very long time. And especially like newer gamers that are younger, they've probably never experienced something like this, since this is kind of like an old style of playing games. So gotta give it to Yosef. He did a great job with this one.
He really
and
did.
Game of the Year. So I mean, he's getting his recognition.
I'm glad Yosef is moving up in the world. My number 2 is also It Takes Two. I had to do it.
I'm glad we had to do it.
That's why I was a little bit disappointed that Back 4 Blood wasn't at number 4.
Yeah.
Because then everything really would have worked out. But yeah, I think for the majority, I'm going to echo everything you just said. Really, really great gameplay wise. I do really enjoy the split screen feel. Ever since online gaming kind of became a thing, like split screen became less and less a reality. That feeling of like going over to a buddy's house to play video games together kind of became obsolete when you could just do that from your own house, which I realize, that's the way things have to be. But, I think that feeling of, gaming with your boys on the couch, I think that's something that needs to be preserved. And I think, I'm really glad that Yosef has really taken strides to preserve it. But yeah, gameplay fantastic. Story's fine. I don't know. It's nothing to get right home
It's
about.
passable. But
It's
not, like,
passable.
laughable. So.
No, yeah, it isn't bad, but it's not like, ooh, this is something I have to like tell people about. Like, it is very cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's on Xbox Game Pass with EA Play. I think it's like $30 maybe on sale on Steam, or it's on consoles too. This is a great one. I think even like, if it's two of your boys, that would work, or if it's like a parent and a kid, that would also work. Like it's really for all ages, and I think it's just a great bonding experience that you can have with one other person, which is crazy that like I'm saying that about a video game, but it's really true. So yeah, big ups, Joseph and Hazelight. Keep on doing. I saw that Joseph posted a photo the other day. Well, they're already working on the new game.
Let's go.
Yeah, looks like they're just in pre-production, but he was like sliding across the table at like it was like a big meeting table, and he was like sliding across it, and it was like actual footage of our movement studies for pre-production on the new game. So
Nice.
it was kind of cool to see that they aren't taking any breaks. They're just gonna keep on moving, keep making great stuff.
They gotta keep going.
Yeah, makes me happy to see Joseph soaring through the clouds. Very nice. So yeah, that's my number 2.
Epic. Numero uno game of the year for me, Deltarune Chapter 2.
Oh, okay.
Chapter 1 came out in, I don't even remember, 2018?
Yeah, something like that.
So it took 3 years to get this, but I think it was worth it. As someone not playing Deltarune until this year, I didn't have to endure the wait. So, but I will have to for the next chapters, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what happens when you get one man doing a majority of the work. But I think as a overall experience, with all elements provided, I think this takes it for sure. Soundtrack is amazing. I was even gonna like consider putting it in my top albums list because it really is just like really great soundtracking.
Mm-hmm.
But also writing is fantastic, which is something you don't get in games a lot. So
No.
as soon as a game has fantastic writing, it immediately like shoots up on my list. But humor as well. Humor also is not displayed well in gaming usually. It usually falls flat. Not a lot of people know how to do it well. This game is hilarious.
Yes.
So it's still got that Undertale style humor, but I think even more refined. I think this game overall is probably better than Undertale. But I think it's weird giving this game of the year because it is only chapter 2 and there's going to be 7 of these, but I can't wait until they're all out to judge the whole thing as a whole. Because chapter 1 was pretty good, but this one is like where it really, really is like, whoa, this is something. I think when it's all said and done, this will be a lot more recognized than Undertale was. But even just animation-wise, color palette-wise, everything is just brilliant. All the characters are memorable, like every single one of them somehow. The little quirks and Easter eggs and like small attention to detail things are so good. Everything feels like it's got a purpose. All the little like fun game things where you click on a box that's not supposed to do anything. It's like, why are you clicking on this box, you stupid idiot? Nothing's here. That kind of stuff is everywhere. But yeah, even like starting to get a little bit serious in this one, but not too much. I think that'll come later, which I'm not really ready for. But they're really introducing the characters and really like fleshing these things out, and they're all amazing. So yeah, overall, I think this is like a fantastic experience. A good serotonin booster overall. As long as you make good choices, of course. But great game, great soundtrack. I don't know about replayability. I haven't really replayed it, but like at the same time, I don't need to. I think I got enough from it the first time.
Yeah.
But really fantastic. I don't know how one man can do this. He's extremely talented.
Yes.
I think he has a little bit of a team now working on it, but like the majority is still him.
Yeah. Yeah, Toby
Bravo,
Fox.
Vince. Yeah.
Very good. Him and Concerned Ape.
Yes.
Or they're two one-man
The two
bands.
one-man kings. Yeah.
And the guy who did Doki Doki too.
Yeah, Dan Salvato.
Dan Salvato, yeah.
So I'm always a fan of the one-man band groups because there's so much passion in those games.
For sure, yeah. And they take so long, and you can tell, yeah.
And they're always worth it.
They're always worth it.
Everything is like done perfectly to a T.
Yes. Very cool. Very big fan of... I played Undertale this year, and I didn't think that I'd be able to take another one. I'll probably
this
play
one is
it.
not like heavy hitting at all.
Okay.
Yet. So.
I'll probably give it a shot sometime next year when I get a chance. But I got a lot of stuff that's out right now. But my my number one, my number one pick is Psychonauts 2. This one, I don't think this is necessarily a surprise for anyone. I think that this is probably one of the best 3D platformers of all time. This is up there with Super Mario 64 and Galaxy and Odyssey. Like I would consider all of these in the same tier. I think it's 14 years since the first game. Double Fine is back. They were kind of like the Rare of the... I don't remember when exactly. I think it would have been 360 maybe. But after Rare got bought out by Xbox and then was making shovelware games, Double Fine they made Psychonauts. They made that Jack Black rock and roll like beat 'em up game.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, they have like a lot of like fun gameplay stuff. And like they usually kind of like push the narrative in terms of like storytelling, especially back then where it was like 3D platformers was help Mario, I'm trapped in a castle, go through all of these wacky levels to find me. And it's like the story is pretty inconsequential, but Psychonauts 2 Psychonauts 1 actually like deals a lot with like mental illness. And a lot of different themes dealing with that because you are someone that is going into people's minds and oftentimes running into their trauma, which I think is very interesting. I really enjoy Psychonauts 1 as well. That game doesn't age necessarily well, I think. You really kind of have to be used to playing games of that era where everything is really... it kind of feels like you're on an ice level all the time, and the jumps are like really floaty, which makes sense because you're someone with psychic powers who's using like hovering stuff to double jump and stuff. But still, absolutely fantastic game. I finally got a chance to play a good version of it today. This is another PSA: do not buy the Steam version of this game, of Psychonauts 1. It is the audio in it is horrible and it will cut out all the time. The Xbox Game Pass version of it is perfect, and I believe it's a little bit... I don't think it's like a complete remaster, but I think it's upscaled to a better resolution. So play that one on Game Pass. Do not get it on Steam if you're going to play it on PC. But finally, the Squeakquel came out this year. And oh boy, it is absolutely great. It picks up exactly where Psychonauts 1 left off, but this time it's really pushing the boundaries in terms of art direction. You're like every single mind you're going into this time is completely different in terms of art direction, and like they're really kind of pushing that. I wouldn't say that this one is necessarily as dark as the first one, because the darkness of the first game can sometimes be a little bit overwhelming, or I would probably say triggering at some points where like you're dealing with some pretty serious trauma in like a kind of kids 3D platformer game. This one kind of takes it a little bit slower. This one is more along the lines of like a typical what you would expect from someone going into someone's mind, where it's like you can be like tampering around with things and that changes their personality in the real world, which I think is it's like an interesting gameplay mechanic, which I do enjoy that quite a bit. But the story here, I wouldn't say it's like absolutely phenomenal. It is enjoyable. They did get the original cast. Somehow all of them survived for 14 years. Well, I mean, like some of them were, I don't know if they replaced some of them, but they sounded the same. But yes, absolutely fantastic gameplay. All of the platforming feels buttery smooth on this version. Absolutely great game. Definitely check it out. I know that it was like a little bit hyped up when it like was it like getting ready to be released, but I haven't seen like a whole lot of people talk about it. So please play Psychonauts 2 if you haven't. It is really a great platformer and just a great game in general. So check it out, cowards. And that is my list.
Nice.
Thank you. Do you agree with our list? Let us know in the comments down below, or on an Apple Podcast review, except still give us 5 stars.
Or a Spotify review. Spotify has podcast reviews now.
Oh, do they?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Give us a review on one of those podcast services. I think Apple Podcasts will help us a little bit more since the Spotify ones are just getting rolled out. So if you want to help the podcast grow, then please leave us an Apple Podcast review. Just make sure it is good, because I don't care about your negative feedback. Give that to us on YouTube, because that way nobody can see your dislike.
That way we're used to it and we can't see the dislike.
So yeah, man, we really need to work on an outro, don't we? We say that every single week, and we've never done it. We've never sat down and been like, we need to think of an outro. Us. You know, yeah, that's true. We really need to not work on one. I think that's fine. Oh, we were going to talk about, I don't know if we just talked about this right before we started, but we were just going to say YouTube stuff of this year. I watch a lot of YouTube, but I think the best channel to come out this year is Channel 5. Really great journalism, where it's just like actually letting people talk, even if you don't necessarily agree with them. Really insightful perspectives on things, which I guess is also what Anthony Padilla does, but Andrew Callahan doesn't wear as many rings, so that is better, I think. But yeah, definitely check out Channel 5 if you haven't. Another great channel to come out this year is probably Mr. Beast. He is so funny and cool.
I love Mr. Beast.
Oh, he is awesome. Did you hear that he did a Squid Game?
Bruh, that's so cool.
I love Squid Game.
Oh my god.
I really hope that Marquez Brownlee is in it.
I love Marquez Brownlee.
Me too. Okay, that's it for YouTube for me. I don't know. Do you have any channels you want to shout out?
I can just shout out channels. I don't know if I have like a list or anything.
Yeah, I don't either.
They're also not new, but I also like Channel 5 quite a bit.
Yes.
Channel 5 is great. I also want to give a shout out to Hassanabi. It's been killing it this year. This is both on the Twitch and YouTube side, I would say. Making left-leaning politics accessible and fun instead of heart-crushingly depressing every day.
Yes.
In an easy way that isn't very theory-heavy or anything. Just great content. He has a lot of cool guests on. He's had JPEG Mafia on twice in the past week.
That's fun.
Those are absolute bangers of streams. So those are always fantastic to check out. You learn a lot from him. He's not afraid to yell at people either, even if they agree with him, just to like really, people can get stuck in ways and not understand things because of ingrained societal norms or other things. So I think it's good to either check yourself or get different opinions on things every once in a while. So great channel. He's been doing fantastic things. I also want to give a shout out to FD Signifier. This is a newer channel that I've been watching. He breaks down media and how different it comes out for the black community. He did a whole thing on Dave Chappelle this year that was really fantastic. He also did a one on Bo Burnham's Inside Special. I'm trying to see what the video is. Wherever he put this thing. I think it was one of his first ones. Trying to find it.
Why don't you send that to me and I can put it in the show description?
Yeah, we can do that. But, with titles, it's edgelord movies and the men who love them. So it's dissecting why certain segments of culture gravitate towards certain things. Here's the Bo Burnham one. Bo Burnham's Insight on White Liberal Performative Art. That's a really great video. So again, different perspectives coming through fantastic video essays. So,
I do love video essays.
Yes, sir. So that has been a big part of my YouTube this year.
Nice.
I guess Fantano and the usual are obviously check them out.
Yeah.
But I also want to give a big shout out to the Boy Time channel.
Yeah,
killed
they're
it
pretty
this
cool.
year. Yeah, huge reinvention into reaction content. So
yeah, I've been a fan of them for a while.
Yeah. I've been a real Underground fan before they started getting views. So all you new fans are just squares.
Yeah, I'm not a very big fan of them, frankly.
You weren't there when we did the KFC dating simulator videos. You just don't know.
You weren't there for podcast 14.
Yeah, the best one.
Yeah, I don't know if I have any newer stuff that I watch a lot of stuff. Obviously, Internet Comment Etiquette, one of the best YouTube channels. Very good stuff. You got Donkey also. I think we reference him all the time. Very good YouTube channel. I did find D'Angelo Wallace this year. He is also a great, I guess it's commentary, but it's more like long form and more like calling out people on bullshit. Kind of like what Content Cop is or was. But, I think he has a really interesting perspective.
Oh, I do know this person.
Yes, D'Angelo Wallace. Very good. Yes. Very good boy. Enjoy him a lot. On the commentary side, I got big fans of Drew Gooden, Danny Gonzalez, Eddie Burback. I can't say Gus Johnson anymore because of the whole controversy.
You shall not be named.
It's a little bit unfortunate. I did not have Gus Johnson being an asshole boyfriend on my bingo card for this year, but that's where we're at. Unfortunately, I'm just scrolling through my subscriptions, seeing Internet Historian. He doesn't really need a boy time shout out, but I absolutely love his stuff. Even his stuff on his secondary channel, Incognito Mode. Just some great stuff. If you haven't seen his Gentleman Pirate Sundance Reject, where it is the tale of real life pirate Steed Bonnet, it is absolutely phenomenal. I saw that Taika Waititi is making an HBO show about that, and I saw Internet Historian made a joke about Taika Waititi stealing his video idea, which could be. I'm not gonna say it isn't. That Taika Waititi isn't stealing it, but it's probably gonna be funny. Video essays. You got Jay Aubrey, very good boy. Just made a video about Drake Bell that I thought was very interesting. And then my all-time favorite YouTube channel, Kevin Spacey. Where are you? He didn't post a video this year. Kind of makes me wonder, is he in jail?
Nah, he's planning something a lot bigger.
I don't know. People who are accusing him of sexual assault, they keep dying or committing suicide.
Yeah.
So who knows what's going to happen there. But it is a little bit...
for office.
I hope not. I don't think Kevin Spacey could do it. I think the allegations against him are so bad that I don't think it could work. Well, I mean, I guess none of it's been proven because all of his accusers keep dying, but...
Exactly. It's part of his plan.
Man, that was probably... The only reason I care about the Kevin Spacey stuff is because I think it was this one in 2019 where he ended it with, you gotta kill him with kindness, and then the dramatic chipmunk theme played, and then like within the week, one of his accusers committed suicide mysteriously, and that is the scariest thing that has ever happened in real life, and I don't know why more people aren't talking about that. But then the last one was kind of lame, so maybe he's just like, I'm done being scary Kevin Spacey. I'm just gonna live alone and not kill people or sexually assault them, hopefully. I don't know. Haven't seen any new allegations. This is all a joke. I don't like Kevin Spacey, but I do enjoy his videos. Ironically, of course. And that is my YouTube list, I think, for right now. Don't watch Kevin Spacey videos.
Don't do it.
Don't
do
do
not
it.
condone this behavior.
Do not give him any more exposure. He doesn't need it. So that's it.
Nice.
See, Nardwuar interviewed J. Cole.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
That's so great. He's back. He's back in a big way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just had the peg you won 9 days ago, and now J. Cole.
Yeah.
Who's next? Joe Biden?
I hope so. He's probably going to say, "Let's go, Brandon," at the end of the interview.
Mr. Biden, is it true that you voted pro-segregation in the 1970s? How did you know about that, Jack? I was very terrified for my children.
Do. Okay, this is a good podcast. Bye-bye.